resurgence of popular German cinema, which was in the doldrums for a couple of decades, I would say, certainly seems to be continuing. We've recently had Lives of Others, Baader-Meinhof Complex, The Counterfeiters, and now in December we have a film called North Face, which tells the story of two mountaineers and their attempts to be the first to conquer the north face of the Eiger in pre-Second World War Germany. The Nazi Party, it's based on a true story. The Nazi Party attempted to kind of take these two on as, to prove that German superiority, I guess, because at the time there were Swiss and Austrians and all sorts camped at the foot of the Eiger, all attempting to be the first to climb the north face. The film tells the story of these two and an old friend journalist who follows them and follows their attempts to climb the north face from the comfort of the hotel at the bottom of the mountain. This film, I mean, it's at its strongest most definitely in the mountaineering scenes, which kind of takes up half the film. It's incredibly gripping. You'll feel the freezing cold wind ripping through your shirt. It's remarkable, and as I say, anyone who enjoyed Touching the Void, this is unmissable. Rivals, or as the French would have it, Les Liens du Sang, pardon my pronunciation, tells the story of, or the rather seemingly familiar story of two brothers on either side of the law. The film is set in France in the 1970s, and it's a superb depiction of the period with the clothes and the music to match. But beyond that, it actually feels like a film made in the 70s. It stars top French actors Guillaume Canet and François Cluzet, and is a very, very welcome addition to the 70s cop drama. But because I probably feel a bit unqualified to talk about Christmas films, being a bit of a Scrooge, I've brought in my colleague Jenny, who
is a bit more enthusiastic about the festive season, shall we say?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lovely season called Christmas at Our House, Filmhouse, Our House. See what we did there?
Cleverly.
And we're showing such seasonal favourites as It's a Wonderful Life, which I watch every Christmas without fail. I'm sure lots of you do too. We've got a new digital re-release of White Christmas, which will be fun. We've got The Sound of Music, The Great Escape, The Matter of Life and Death, and The Apartment. It's just a really nice thing, I think, at Christmas to, you're spending time with your family, to go out as a family to somewhere where you don't have to talk to one another for like a couple of hours.
And people like familiar films.
People do. You go and see a film, you're going to like it because you've seen it before. I'll be in Shetland for Christmas wishing that there was a cinema. We've also got our Wayne's World slot has got a bit of a Christmas theme going on as well. We've got The Muppet Christmas Carol, and speaking of Scrooge, and we've got The Wizard of Oz as well, of course, and the Raymond Briggs trilogy, which is shown on Christmas Eve. And we've got a production of The Nutcracker, the Kirov Ballet, doing The Nutcracker. That's on the 21st as well, so that's a bit of a family item. But there's more classic re-releases, I believe.
There is,
December,
December. There's loads of them. The big one, I suppose, is Bicycle Thieves. For someone who does my job, there are those films that are long unavailable for cinemas that constantly frustrate you, and this has been one of them over the years. But finally someone has restored it and is now making it available from December the 19th for a cinema release, which is very good news. A Streetcar Named Desire has also been restored and new prints made. We've shown this twice in the last year, once during a Brando retrospective, and then as a preview of the new release during Tennessee Williams retrospective, and the film practically sold out both shows, so now we've brought it back for 4 or 5 days and give more people more opportunity to see it. The third one is the 1931 version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's long been a source of frustration. We've tied in with many sort of Robert Louis Stevenson celebration events around the city over the years, and the only film we've ever been able to show in that was Kidnapped. But now we have what's probably the definitive Jekyll and Hyde, Stevenson's fabulous story of split personality. And this is probably the definitive film version of it. So that's, I think, the 26th of December.
And it's from
that
1931 and
Yes.
stars Frederick March.
Yes.
And we also have a new festival, which programmed by me, in fact, which runs from the 15th to the 18th of December. It's called Illuminations, and it's basically showcasing really great films, which also happen to be documentaries. I really feel that documentaries have as much of a place in cinemas as feature films do, because there's much variety in documentary as there is in feature films. You know, you can have comedies and feel-good movies and adventure stories and battles of good versus evil, and they're stories that, when told well, can work just as well as feature films. So we've got 14 films in the festival. I was having a think and trying to pick out a few favourites to kind of talk about those, but it was difficult because I chose them all, so they're all my favourites. If I'm going to mention two or three, though, there's 3 Miles North of Malcolm, which is a really entertaining and beautifully shot film. It's about a New Age hippie festival in the north of Sweden, and the New Age hippies who go there, but also this fairly cynical Australian rugby coach called Nick, who kind of washes up there by accident and finds himself surrounded by effing tree huggers, as he puts it. The filmmakers will be here for that as well, to do a Q&A afterwards, so that should be really good. That's 3 Miles North of Malcolm. We also have a fantastic story, which you'll know the basics of already. The film is called Stranded, and it's about the plane that crashed in the Andes in the 70s, and the survivors ended up having to eat the bodies of the people who hadn't survived the crash. There was a film called Alive, based on the same story, with Kevin Bacon, I believe, a few years ago. So you know the basics of the story, but hearing the people who actually survived the experience talking about it is an incredibly powerful thing to watch. It's amazing. There's a section which I'm really excited about, a focus on a Japanese filmmaker from the 70s called Shinsuke Ogawa. The films were actually curated by Mark Cousins for the Sheffield Doc Fest earlier on this month, and when Mark told me about them, I thought it'd be really great to screen them here as well. They went down a storm in Sheffield. Mark actually had folk asking him when the films were going to be screening here so that they could come and see them again. So book early for those, and Mark will be introducing the screenings as well, which will be really great. And one word about the closing film, The Beetle, which is on the 18th of December. A really lovely, warm and wise road movie about an Israeli filmmaker who owns a really clapped out old Beetle car, and his very pregnant wife is insisting that he swaps it for a more reliable family car, but he doesn't want to part with it and goes on a road movie, really, to a road trip to find the previous owners and find out the story of this car that he's owned. It's a really lovely film. It's also preceded by a great short called Plain Days, which was co-directed by Ewan McNichol, who used to work as an usher in this very cinema. That's not why I'm showing it, though. It's a really good film. So yeah, Illuminations, 5th to the 18th of December. Come on, see something.
Just to let you know, Jenny, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Alive. I think it was Ethan Hawke.
It was Ethan Hawke, sorry.